and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Hey, everybody, and welcome in to Sports Blitz Live. Obviously, Andy Graham not with us tonight, but I've got Caleb Brooks by my side, so happy to have him. You're going to get all the Bama you can handle tonight as Alabama is getting ready for the big game. Game of the century, part due. Part dia?
It's
Dia?
part.
I don't know why I said do.
The part.
Okay.
I mean, we've done 4 or 5 game of the centuries by now. So.
Yeah, it's been a lot of them, but this is actually, I mean, look, we'll see when the official college football playoff rankings come out here in about an hour or so, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And we'll see where everybody falls, but my guess is it'll be LSU 1 or 2 and Alabama probably 3. That seems to be the consensus.
I've seen a bunch of 5s, though.
Could be. I doubt they would have us behind Clemson just because, frankly, I think Alabama's resume is stronger than Clemson's, as weak as Alabama's resume is.
Yeah.
I do think it's stronger than Clemson's in that Alabama hadn't had a close game. The one common opponent, Texas A&M, I mean, Alabama handled them just as well as Clemson did on the road. And I think that we found out A&M isn't that good anyway. So we can also talk about Auburn and Ole Miss from this past weekend. Had a little talk before the show about the situation at halftime with maybe some fans being disgruntled and leaving a little bit early. Frankly, I don't blame them. I understand where they're coming from. But we can talk about that. We certainly will take your phone calls if you'd like to call in. As I mentioned, the college football playoff rankings are coming out tonight. Alabama and Auburn start hoop season. Duke and Kansas are playing right this very minute. Duke's got a 3-point lead at the half. Alabama is about to tip off, and Auburn's going to tip off in about an hour. We're going to talk all the LSU Alabama you can possibly handle. Talk about Tua's ankle, how it's feeling. Is it being rubbed enough? Have we Mr. Miyagi this thing yet? So that's another thing we'll talk about. All the recruits coming in this weekend. Maybe the best recruiting group I've ever seen go to one game. I mean, I was trying to write down all the big names going, and frankly, I couldn't even get them all down. And I just said, I'm just going to say it ends up being a big group. President Trump coming into Tuscaloosa, most likely. The AHSA playoffs get started this weekend. And, one thing we can talk about later, we already know the first coach who was fired, and that was Willie Taggart. Who's going to be next? Somebody's coming down the pike. There will be somebody's head will be on a pike, I guess is a better way to put it. But, yeah, that's a lot of talking points for this evening. But I think we can start let's go ahead and talk about the Auburn-Ole Miss game from this past weekend. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I mean, obviously Auburn's not playing very good offense right now. I mean, there's just not really no other way to put it. Against anybody any good, they're not playing much offense. 55 against Kent State and, I mean, they had a good night against Mississippi State, but we're kind of seeing Mississippi State's not very good. And so – they're just not playing good offense. They're playing good enough defense to probably have won a couple of the games that they have lost so far, but, just for some reason can't put it together. And even Bo Nix throws for 300 yards but gets no touchdowns in the game. So
yeah, it's a very odd game all the way around. Yeah. Auburn dominated statistically, had over 500 yards of total offense, but they do sputter in the red zone again, and that's something.
And miss field goals.
And they did miss 3 field goals, one of them being a rather questionable call to me at the end. The one that actually hit the upright. And I thought I would have either punted or gone for it myself. Frankly, I thought even though a field goal would have put the game out of reach, given that he's already 2 of 4 on the night and his long-distance field goal kicking in Anders Carlson hadn't been great even since he's been at Auburn, I think I would have probably punted and just taken a few more seconds off the clock and make Ole Miss drive the length of the field, which is something – frankly, they hadn't done all night. Yeah. Now, they got a nice punt return on one drive, and they did have one other drive. But I would have trusted my defense, which has certainly been the heart and soul of this team for Auburn.
Well, and anything can go wrong on a field goal. I mean, you could have gotten it blocked. I mean, then you miss it the way you do. You give them a shorter field. So, I think it's one of those where you can kind of point to and say it's a questionable coaching decision by Gus where he's already got, a lot of attention on him and a lot of focus on what he does and how he does stuff.
You know, and it's, again, Gus is an enigma wrapped in a sweater vest. I mean, he does exactly what the fans wanted him to do. He got the ball to Anthony Schwartz 10 times. Now, Schwartz didn't have one of those big explosive plays that everybody was expecting him to have, but they still put it in his hands a lot, which I think satisfied a lot of people.
Yeah.
The problem is, all it did was exacerbate the point of, why are you doing this against Ole Miss when we need it against Florida and LSU? And I think the fans have a very solid point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and then with the whole Joey Gatewood situation, everything that, you know, y'all touched on a lot last week, but you can't go out and say stuff like he did after the Arkansas game where you come out and say, you know, he's going to have a bigger role in our offense, and he's going to get to play more and all this stuff, and then not do it, you know.
That's right.
And that's what ultimately led to him. And, you know, I think that's what made Jalen stay at Alabama was Saban was honest about how it was going to be done, how he was going to handle it, and he did everything that he said he was going to do with how he handled that situation last year. And I think that you can just tell there's a lot of differences in how both coaches handled it, and that's why one stayed and one ended up leaving. So.
And, of course, Joey Gatewood did leave the program last week. I guess everybody wonders why leave when he did. And I would point to the fact that I'd be willing to bet that had he stayed, he wouldn't have played in this game either. It was it was just tight enough to where you don't want to put your backup quarterback in. And Bo Nix, you're right, he didn't have a touchdown passing, but he did have 340 some odd yards passing. So I don't think Gus would have taken him out and disrupt that flow in favor of trying to pacify Joey Gatewood.
Well, I think him leaving when he left shows how frustrated he was, though, with being told that he was going to play and not getting to play and just the promises. And then, you know, when you know, it's tough. Tua talked about how he would have left if he wouldn't have played in the national because when you sit over there and you know what you or feel like, you know, you can do, and you go watch and see how Bo Nix has played against, you know, some of the bigger opponents they've played this year and the way that Jalen Hurts was playing at the end of that year, it makes you pretty frustrated as a player.
Look, if I bring it up all the time that I went to a practice before the Clemson playoff game in the semifinals that year, and watching Tua spin the ball versus watching Jalen spin the ball, and especially after I'd seen Jalen play so poorly against Auburn, man, I mean, if I would have felt the same way as Tua did. And I understand why Joey's leaving now. I'm not one of those, he's a quitter. It's a new age, and maybe you don't like it. I understand that too. You certainly have that right. There used to be a day and time when people would be forced to stick it out and deal with it, and maybe even finish their careers at certain places because of the more stringent NCAA rules. But it's different now, and I think coaches need to learn to adapt, or those coaches will get left behind. So, of course, the basketball game about to be starting here. I'm going to pull it up on the computer while we're sitting here, so we'll sort of keep you updated on that as well. It's the Nate Oates era being ushered in. I know a lot of people were very excited about it. I had an interview with Brian Passink for the Locked On Bama podcast yesterday. He's really excited. He feels he's like I am. He's got some guarded optimism because, frankly, I was excited about Anthony Grant when he first came to Alabama, and I was excited about Avery Johnson in the sense that I didn't know. I thought Avery could bring something different. And when if you remember, his recruiting sort of kicked off very early, and there was I cannot remember the recruit's name out of Houston that we had. He committed to us. He ended up decommitting and ended up playing pro overseas, and I think he's in the NBA now.
Come on, Terrence Ferguson.
Yes, Terrence Ferguson. There you go. Thank you. I'm getting older, Caleb. It'll happen to you. But and then, of course, getting Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
And so I was always excited about that, but it seemed to be like he stole Anthony Grant's offensive playbook. So I never could wrap my arms around that team.
Yeah.
Nate Oates, you know, he's done his social media has been awesome. I don't know if you've watched any of the workout stuff and the training these guys have been through. And then, of course, the Georgia Tech, they just bludgeon Georgia Tech to death.
Yeah, especially in the second half.
Yeah, so you got to feel pretty good about that. But, we'll see tonight. They're only a 7.5-point favorite for a reason. Penn's no joke.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good. They return their top two scorers from a year ago. They return another player that had to sit out last year. That was a big player for them 2 years ago. So it's not an easy game to start out the Nate Oates era, and I think it's going to be a good challenge for Alabama, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this team plays. Unfortunately, we don't really get to see them at full strength and won't this whole season with Rojas going down with a knee injury, and You know, Juwan Gary going out with a knee injury, and then right now, Beetle Bolden, the transfer from West Virginia, he's out with a wrist injury, and so then Javon Quinterly, we still don't know what the deal is with him. So, you know, it's unfortunate we won't get to see this whole group together and see what they would have looked like, because on paper, you felt really, really good going into the year before all of that stuff ended up happening.
No, I agree, but I'll tell you something. There is something about I think Nate Oates is going to be the kind of coach to rally the team around.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just another thing against us, and we got to – it's us against the world mentality. And I know that's a bit cliche, but I think it works for some coaches, and he seems to be that kind of coach. And, of course, Bruce Pearl's team will tip off at 8 o'clock. I know a lot of people are excited about that and getting to see their first look at Isaac Okoro and those kind of guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we will talk a little bit more about Auburn and Ole Miss initially, and then we'll probably just get right on into Bama and LSU because that's what everybody's talking about right now. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill and Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Find everything you need for the perfect outdoor living space at Russell Do-It Center, like the Fire Rock Outdoor Conventional Fireplace, smartly designed masonry systems that are easy to install and are less than half the cost of a scratch-built brick and mortar fireplace. Weber Grills, the best outdoor gas, electric, and charcoal grills, which always come pre-assembled. Yeti Coolers, premium coolers and accessories that are the ultimate in design, performance, and durability. Russell Do-It Center, experience and knowledge from the pros.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
Hi, I'm Kurt Bowman, General Manager of Vaden Toyota. We'd like to announce our new lifetime warranty on any new Toyota.
Hashtag lifetime warranty.
Hashtag we love our customers.
It can be used nationwide at no additional cost. Hashtag customer service. So come on by and let us show you the Vaden way.
Hashtag maintenance matters.
Hashtag totally awesome.
Vaden Toyota of Sylacauga, just a short drive from home or online.
Hashtag your neighborhood dealership.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn on South College. New Kias at 0% APR financing and no payments for 90 days. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn.com.
This is Coach Pat Dye. At Kia of Auburn, you are always number one.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Luke Robinson along with Caleb Brooks tonight. Alabama and Penn about 5 minutes down, and it's 14-12 Alabama. 14-12 used to be the halftime scores under Avery Johnson and Anthony Grant. So, yeah, this team is going to play a little bit faster and maybe with a little bit more aggression, which I think everybody will be thrilled to see because, look, in basketball, especially in this state, you're not going to win a lot of people over with slowing it down, taking your time, and then heaving a three-pointer when you get in a lot of trouble. And the game itself now lends itself to playing deeper and playing faster and being very, very aggressive. So I think that's what we'll see.
And I actually see them getting onto an official right there, which is something Alabama hadn't seen since Mark Godfrey was the head coach.
Oh, yeah. Now, Godfrey used to do it quite excessively, but it's good to see Nate Oates getting after one pretty early. So let's go back to the Auburn-Ole Miss game here for just a second. First of all, were you surprised to see Ole Miss with a chance at the very end of this game to win? No.
Yeah, I guess with a chance to win, but not surprised to see them actually keep the game close. When I saw 18.5 points, I think is what it was. I mean, I thought Ole Miss plus 18.5 was a good bet, and I thought that their quarterback could cause a little bit of trouble for Auburn because he's so fast, and I just didn't trust Auburn's offense either. And I know Ole Miss isn't great on defense, but it was hard for me to picture them scoring just a lot of points last week. So.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I was a little surprised. This Ole Miss team has shown to me to be rather scrappy. They've got, Plumlee is a good running quarterback, and Matt Corral just is not very good.
No.
I'm not a big fan of his. I just don't think. I think I would stick with Plumlee if I were Ole Miss. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think he's the future. I think he fits Rich Rod. I mean, when you think of what Rich Rod's been successful with, it's a guy like him at quarterback. So, I mean, I think that he fits what Rich Rod wants to do offensively pretty well.
I don't think there's any doubt. Other than that, though, they just don't have a ton of weapons. I was a little surprised that they were so close with Auburn there at the end of the game. But what do you think, does that game say anything about Auburn in these next 3 games that they have to finish up the season?
I mean, I think that it definitely, if I'm an Auburn fan, it would make me concerned that are we going to score enough to beat Georgia or are we going to score enough to beat Alabama?
Right.
And I think that that's what my concern going into the games would be. If they're going to beat Georgia, I think it would be a 13-10 type game, something like that. Maybe a 17-13 type game. But, when you look at what Alabama's able to do on offense, I mean, everybody wanted to act like Auburn played this just unreal defense against LSU, and they held them to 23. They also gave up 508 total yards of offense, and nobody's really talking about that. And so LSU got to the 1 and only got 3 points out of 2 trips to the 1-yard line in that game. You may not get that fortunate with Alabama. So that's what my concerns would be as an Auburn fan is, can we score enough to win those games? And, if I'm an Auburn fan, I wouldn't feel very confident in that ability. So.
And given that, what are the vibes you're getting from Auburn people that you know about Gus Malzahn in general? I still get the sense a lot of folks want him gone, but then there are those who say, hey, we're 7-2, and what do you expect? I mean, we've lost 2 tough SEC games on the road, and I certainly get that. But as we talked about before the show, I don't think you can judge Gus, and I wrote about this after the LSU game. I don't think you can judge Gus based on this past LSU game, number one. Craziest things ever happened in that game. The barn burning, the earthquakes, the doinks, the blocked extra points that end up being a flag, so they get them again.
Throwing a ball when he shouldn't have.
All those things. I mean, there's so many nutso things that happen with an Auburn LSU game. I wouldn't judge my coach based on that. So I think you got to look big picture here. And I guess the one thing that would be concerning to me is, and I've heard Brett and Randy talk about this from the Auburn Blitz today, that while Auburn is recruiting well enough, you look at, I think historically, if you said you're averaging around the number 11, number 12 team in the country, you'd feel good about it. The problem is Georgia, Alabama, LSU, now A&M are all way up there in the recruiting rankings. And, of course, Florida's creeping up there a little bit too. Tennessee's getting their share. And so you feel like you're falling behind there. And then, for whatever reason, it seems like more of Auburn's highfalutin stars flame out for whatever reason, like a Joey Gatewood, who started out a 5-star, ended up a 4-star. You have a lot of guys like that end up leaving the program. That affects what the actual rating should be.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take this caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Great. How are you?
All right.
What can I help you with?
Luke,
Yes, sir.
this Luke I'm talking to?
Yes, sir.
You going to the ball game Saturday night?
Well, I hope I am. I think I've got 2 tickets, but I'm not sure quite yet. But I feel pretty positive about it. But I'll tell you, I've got some hesitation now that the president's coming and it's going to be added security. But we'll see.
That's what I was going to tell you.
Yes, sir.
I called my nephew and he said you had to be a little early because of President Trump's going to be there.
Yeah, I was actually at the national championship game with Georgia, and I'm going to say President Trump's presence delayed us about an hour getting in, and it was cold and it was rainy, and everybody was kind of miserable, and we barely made it in time.
You know, the last president that I remember coming to Tuscaloosa, it was old Ronald Reagan, back when old Ray Perkins was a football coach back in 1984, and Ray Perkins was having a bad season with Alabama. And old Reagan come up to talk to the people at Tuscaloosa, and he said, win one for the Gipper.
Well, who in the world were we playing?
6-0.
Who were we playing that year?
Penn State.
Penn State in '84. Okay.
Yeah, Alabama beat him 6-0.
Well, I mean, I guess we'd take it. '84 wasn't exactly a banner year. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because I think that's the first one they won.
We didn't have a lot of them that year. We did end up winning the Iron Bowl, which was a miracle in its own right. Hey, thank you so much for calling tonight, okay?
Okay, I'm going to say roll tide.
All right, roll tide, buddy. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye. I appreciate that phone call. But, yeah, you know, when I think about a president going to a game, you know, even national championship games, I don't remember presidents going to a lot of them. I know Bill Clinton went to the Alabama-Arkansas game in '92, but I believe he was still governor at the time that he went to the game. I don't think he was running. I think he was running. I can't remember, but I know it was.
You definitely don't see a president that goes to 3 high-profile events the way that he has with him going to the World Series. He went to the UFC fights this past weekend, and now will be in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
You know, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of reception he gets, too, because I believe that most people think, Alabama being a pretty red state, that he'll be welcomed with open arms. But I think on any given college campus, the students will probably boo the president most of the time. Now, unless, because most students lean to the left a little bit, at least when they're in school, and then they may change affiliation later on. But I would say that, yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he's received.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of interested to see how it goes, and you know, honestly, I just kind of am ready to get all that out of the way and let's play football.
I'm with you. Let's go ahead and take another break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
Growing your business isn't just one thing. It's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, their compact equipment provider.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan-Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan-Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
What's behind the CA? A world full of opportunities.
Where are you now? Where are you going?
Where do you want to be?
These are all important in determining your path in life.
More importantly, why be ordinary
when you can be extraordinary?
At Central Alabama Community College, you can be anything you wish to be.
Don't put your future on hold and don't settle for less than excellence.
We are Central Alabama Community College.
Central to you.
Central to your success.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, Sign Source has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. Sign Source.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Penn is taking an early lead on Alabama, 22-21, I think it is. So this one's going to be tight throughout. A couple of Facebook comments rolling in. One from Mark Knight saying, we, meaning Auburn, can score enough to beat Georgia, I think. But unless Tua is a lot less than 100%, I don't think we can outscore Alabama. It's probably a good point. And frankly, I don't know. Here's the thing. Georgia's better than people are giving them credit for. Did you know this? I didn't know this stat. They're the first team in 20 years that hasn't given up a rushing touchdown this late in the season. They have not given up a rushing touchdown so far this season. That's remarkable. I mean, I saw that stat on Twitter, and it just sort of blew my mind. It was tweeted out by ESPN. No, not just some random Twitter guy. So, I mean, I feel like it's pretty valid.
It ain't like giving up points is what's gotten them beat.
No, they do have a little bit more troubles scoring. There's no doubt. I mean, they've Fromm has not had his best year, but I'll tell you something. He turned it on a little bit against Florida, and their third down conversions were crazy good. And he still, you call him a game manager, and you know
he reminds me of AJ. I mean, that's what
I think he's AJ plus.
I think he's a little bit better. Yeah.
So he doesn't have necessarily a receiver that he 100% trusts yet. But their running game, DeAndre Swift had a nice run. It was one of them was called back for a hold, which was pretty obvious. But
what do you think of Pickens? Do you think he can be a stud, or do you think?
I think he can be, but we hadn't seen it yet. He wasn't the dynamo that I thought necessarily he would be when he came in. He hadn't had a banner freshman year, but he's had his moments.
Wasn't one of his knocks that he wasn't? I mean, speed.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to call a couple of his games while I was at Hoover, and I would say speed was an issue. But, you know, when you can just throw it up and say, go get it. And I think when you're talking about somebody who's 4'6" versus 4'5", you're picking nits a little bit. Yeah. If I'll take somebody who's a tenth of a second slower if he's 6 inches taller.
Yeah.
You know, I think that and the other guy that he probably has found that he likes a lot is Lawrence Cager, the transfer from Miami, who's been very good. Mark Knight also says, we're recruiting players, meaning Auburn, and not recruiting a team. 5-star receivers don't amount to much if you don't have linemen that can keep a quarterback off his back. And that's probably the biggest knock on Gus Malzahn to me is offensive line recruiting just has not been there. It just hasn't been good. You're getting in these transfers from UMass and places like that. And I think that, you know, it'd be one thing if you just had a year or two where you missed on a bunch of offensive linemen you targeted. I'm wondering, number one, if Gus Malzahn doesn't target enough of them. And number two, if offensive linemen feel like playing in this system isn't a place to get developed for the next level, which in the end, I know we all want to pretend these players all love our various respective universities. In the end, most of them have NFL dreams, real or fantastic. They have the desire to try and make it to the next level. And right now, I think a lot of folks look at Auburn's offensive line. When's the last offensive lineman that's amounting to a whole lot? Greg Robinson's still playing in the league, but he has not been very good.
Yeah.
Certainly not for a number 2 pick. Other than that, name who's an offensive lineman from Auburn that's in the league right now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's been a long time since they've had one that's, outside of, I guess, Greg Robinson that's been,
and he wasn't recruited by Gus.
Yeah.
He was recruited by the previous staff. So I think now Prince Tega may get drafted. I've seen him in mock drafts in the first round, but I think that's optimistic for him.
Yeah.
So I think that could be an issue.
And how concerning is it that you're not very good on the offensive line this year, and they're all seniors?
That's certainly another thing.
So if the ones behind them aren't good enough to play over those guys, then.
Well, we had a caller, but I don't see it on hold over here again. So I mean that's odd. We're having some phone difficulty here. Because next year, Auburn will bring back a lot of skill players, and I think Auburn will be one of those teams that a lot of people look at as a dark horse.
And you got Bo Nix coming back, and
Seth Williams and Schwartz.
I think that you can see now. I mean, he was able to kind of sit in the pocket and make throws on Saturday night, and you can see when he's able to do that, he can throw it. But he really has been kind of running for his life in a couple of these games this year.
Okay, so let's get into some of this Alabama LSU talk now. What jumps off at you right now? What's the biggest storyline of a game with just a laundry list of storylines? What's the biggest one to you?
I mean, I think the biggest one, obviously, going into it is, will Tua's ankle affect him at all in the game? I mean, I don't think it will, especially with it being on the other foot this time, so it's not the one he's going to put a lot of pressure on to throw the ball. I think that does help, but will it affect him? If it doesn't, then I like Alabama's chances to move the ball, and if it does affect them, then, I think that they're going to be in trouble on scoring, on Saturday. So I think that's the big storyline.
There was some good video that came out from Alabama's practice, and it showed Tua with the big black leg sleeve.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought, hey, he looks good. He's throwing it around pretty good. I mean, maybe it's the pessimist in me, and that's just my nature, but I thought I saw a pretty good hitch in the giddy-up, which scares me a little bit. I thought while he was planting fine, I thought that, the ball seemed to have plenty of zip, but it was that initial half a second that probably a lot of people would go, what's the big deal? Well, this Alabama offense and the slants that have been destroying folks are so predicated on timing.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me.
No, yeah, and I mean, I think that another thing that would surprise a lot of people going in this game is that if you go by what total defensive numbers are, these are the two best defenses that these two teams have played this season. Alabama's top 20 at number 16 in total defense, and LSU sitting at number 23, and it's by far the best defense that Alabama's faced. So, I think that that's kind of surprising to a lot of people because all the talk's been that they don't play great defense and that they rely on their offenses, yet it's going to be the two best defenses that both of them played so far, statistically. So.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, LSU's been tested more defensively, having faced both Auburn and Florida, who have some very stout defenses. We have another caller here. Let's see if he's got him on hold yet. I'll tell you, we've had some issues with putting callers on hold. As I just noticed Herb Jones went out of the game with what looked to be a left hand injury. Surely he's not going to be hurting for long. I think this Alabama team, and both football and basketball, has dealt with enough injuries so far.
If he goes out with an injury, they're already down with no JQ, with Bolden being out. They don't really want Shackelford playing the point guard, but now he's really going to have to step in and play because him and Kyra's it.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Caller, are you with us? Are you there? One more time. We lost the caller there. I don't know, but that's the second time he called back. I don't know why he keeps dropping right there, but Alabama's hit a couple of straight threes to take a 28-22 lead here. But going back to the President Trump thing just for a second, before we get into the game too terribly much, I'm sort of with you. Look, politics aside, I kind of wish he wasn't coming.
No, I mean, I don't really care anything about the politics and all that. It's just let us enjoy the game. Now we're going to have to go, get there earlier than, you want to. I mean, it throws everybody else's day off.
Well, and
it's
not
to come to the game.
It's not just going to be, getting in the stadium. It's going to be leaving the stadium, and assuming he stays the entirety of the game. That's going to be a thing. I can promise you, anybody flying in for the game, I assume they're going to have to land in Birmingham. We talked about this earlier today with some folks. I mean, I don't think there's going to be he's not going to be able to land in Tuscaloosa International. I say that with air quotes. So I assume,
how is that going to affect traffic getting to the game? Because you know that
his caravan is going to be long, and it's going to be wide, and it's going to be sort of like when you let an ambulance through when you're in stop traffic. I think it's going to be something like that. So
then Tuscaloosa already is dumb in the fact that it's a 3-lane all the way until you get right into Tuscaloosa, and it goes into a 2-lane.
Just in time to bottleneck.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to be something that certainly affects the whole outlook of the day, and then you got to factor in that game day is going to be there with SEC Nation, and game day is actually going to be on the quad versus where they usually set up on the Walk of Champions, and that's going to be a little bit disruptive too. All this is great PR.
So are they both going to be on the quad?
I don't know where SEC Nation is going to be. I do know that game day is going to be on the quad, which I think is the first time they've done that. They may have used to.
Oh, well, they did back in the old days when we didn't have Walk of Champions. I remember going to the 2005 Alabama LSU game that year when it was 3 versus 5, and game day was there and it was on the quad.
It was
right
on the
by
quad.
Denny Chimes.
Okay, so I guess that's where it'll be again. But the dynamics of
it. But I wonder why they did that.
I think there was a push for it from some powers that be, because that's sort of the livelihood of the fan base. They'll get a real feel, and people can gather there more easily than on the Walk of Champions. We got to go to a break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill and Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hardworking brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neusen. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our 5 strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors. A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
From the smallest drippy faucet to drain cleaning to water heater replacement to gas lines to total systems replacement, A&M Plumbing handles it all. Visit amplumbing.net today for the experienced, licensed, and insured pros at A&M Plumbing.
A&M Plumbing, service at its best when you need it most.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. We're keeping an eye on this Alabama-Penn game right now. Alabama's got a 6-point lead with about 4 minutes to go in the first half. So, again, it's 33-27. They seem to be playing some inspired defense tonight.
Yeah, you know.
Shooting a little better from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not used to seeing 33 points at the 4-minute TV timeout. So.
And, of course, Auburn will be tipping off here in about 20 minutes, so I know a lot of eyes will be glued on that as well.
What have you heard about them? I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to be as good as they were a year ago. I mean, you can't lose what they lost. But, you know, another thing that people hadn't considered until I started thinking about is, I'm not trying to say they weren't a good team a year ago, but they also were a team that went 9-9 in the SEC or 10-8 or whatever, and they got hot at the right time. And so I'm just kind of interested to see how the Auburn fans are going to react if they don't have as good a year as they kind of feel like they should have. And
I think Bruce has built up enough goodwill to.
No, I'm not talking about that they're going to go after Bruce. I'm just saying how they react to just not having as good a year as maybe they think they're going to have if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, they were predicted to finish, I think, either 4th or 5th in the league, and I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Alabama could finish that same spot. I've seen both teams predicted to be in the NCAA tournament, which in the end, that's what matters. I mean, just getting in the tournament. And on those
Auburn proved that a year ago.
Yeah, along those same lines, Mark Nice asked, Luke, I know you don't like expanding playoffs, but wouldn't a 16-team playoff of current rankings be fun? No, it wouldn't. 16 teams? Are you kidding? First of all, we'd have to eliminate 2 regular season games.
You know, you bring up the point all the time of, and my brother brought this up today, we were talking about the NCAA tournament because we were talking about teams getting hot the way that Auburn did a year ago. If you really get down to it, one team that has been ranked below 3 in the NCAA tournament has won a championship recently, and it was UConn that year that they got hot.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been a top 3 seed every year. So if we really get down to it, while it's fun to watch all the other stuff go on, the top 3's been winning it every year. I mean, that top 12.
Last year was a little different, I guess. Auburn was what were they last year? Were they a 5 or a 6?
A 5.
Okay. Texas Tech, I don't remember exactly what they were. Virginia
3.
was a 1.
Texas
Tech was
a
a 3. Okay. And then Michigan State had to be a 2, I guess, if I was right. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Gosh, it feels like they weren't quite those same seeds.
You have your years where there's some crazy runs and, you know, people, you know, Butler that got there that year and who was it? James Madison or James Mason.
George Mason.
But, you know, in reality, if you get down to it, it's been a 1 through 3. It's been the top 12 that enter the tournament that have won.
And that's what I like about it. And also, the thing about a 16-team tournament is, see, I like that Oregon's had to play like their hair's on fire since the Auburn loss.
Yeah.
They've had no margin for error anymore. They've had to play this way. And if a 16-team tournament, well, I mean, okay, we lost to UCLA, big whoop.
Mark, are you going to feel the same way if Alabama gets beat Saturday? Because then they won't be in. They're not going to get in if they get beat on Saturday. So will you feel the same way of wanting to have a 16-team playoff?
No, I think
them get in.
I think he would. Don't you think he would? I mean, I guess if you're thinking about it from from an Alabama perspective, maybe you wouldn't. But yeah, 16-team tournament is just too many. The number 16 team is number 16 for a reason. Right now, think about this. You would have to eliminate, I think, 2 regular season games. And everybody says, okay, get rid of 2 cupcakes. Okay, I'm down with that.
The schools aren't down with it.
The schools aren't down with it. I'll tell you who's not down with it. Western Carolina or even Southern Miss or even somebody like that, because they get paychecks because of those games. And you can say, well, let's just forget about them. I'm kind of on your side, okay? I really am. I'm kind of on the side of let's have, especially in the NCAA basketball tournament, let's have the 64 bad boys or whatever it is, the Power 5 conferences and Notre Dame and maybe a BYU if we want to, and 1 or 2 other teams, and that's it. I could live with that, but I don't think America really wants that.
Well, I mean, it's just like everybody was all about, you know, UCF a couple years. We saw with UCF this year, they had to play 2 games that were pretty tough back-to-back. They lost the second one. They blew it against Pitt. I mean,
a very mediocre Pittsburgh team. So, yeah, I think that I don't even want it to go to 8, but I'm resigned to the fact it is going to 8. So I'm not going to even be mad about it anymore. 8, okay. I don't like the automatic qualifier idea. I never will like it because I don't like the idea of somebody from the SEC East finishing the year heading into the championship game at 8-3 or, God forbid, 7-4.
Well, I don't like it because is winning the ACC this year equal to winning the SEC?
No, it's not even close.
It's not close at all.
If somebody were, if Wake Forest or somebody
is winning the Pac-12 equal to winning the SEC? It's not.
It's just not.
So, I mean, The only other conference that can say that it could be close to equal this year is the Big Ten.
And I think the Big Ten would have certainly, have an argument there. But and that's part of it to me is you got to perform every week, and I don't like the idea of Oklahoma's loss to Kansas State not meaning much. Yeah. It meant a lot. And now Oklahoma's got to play with their hair on fire for a while.
Well, and then it's like everybody wants to put in, win your conference, okay? Let's say Alabama loses to LSU, and they go 12-1. They win their bowl game, they go 12-1. Oklahoma lost to Kansas State, and then they end up winning their conference. They get in the playoffs because of that.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm much more on the side of less is more. And I think it makes every week a little better, and I just don't like the idea of watering this thing down any more than we have to. So I hope I wasn't too unclear on that, and I understand why
Justin
some people
says you don't think Alabama would get in with one loss versus LSU, who, let's say, wins out. Who would the committee not put in?
Well, Justin, let me put it this way. If LSU wins out, okay, there's your one team. They're gone. They're in.
Clemson's in.
Clemson's going to be in because they're not going to lose. Let's just assume they don't lose because there's nobody on their schedule that really has the ability to beat them, if you ask me. Ohio State or Penn State
they got to play each other.
Is getting in. One of them will get in. And then if Oregon wins out,
or Oklahoma wins
or
out.
Oklahoma were to win out and win the conference, no, I wouldn't feel good at all as an Alabama fan.
Or even Utah.
Because frankly, if that were to happen, see, what Alabama would have to hope for is that Auburn beats the dog mess out of Georgia so that they can, if Alabama gets a win over Auburn, and I think Alabama would have to do it in very impressive fashion to even have an argument. Now, I still believe Alabama is one of the four best teams in the country, but I think public sentiment, and I think that just the way things lay out, people will be behind Oregon for having the Auburn game scheduled, and they'll say that was Oregon's only loss, and Alabama's retort will be, well, we beat Auburn at Auburn. But, people will say that's not apples to apples.
I'm just not sure they're going to put Alabama in without winning the
Now,
again.
if Clemson were to screw up and lose.
It would take all that stuff.
If Oregon loses another game, and that's why I was pulling for USC this past weekend.
Yeah,
there was no doubt about that. So Mark Knight says, I don't want a 16-team conference playoff, but most of the games would be fun to watch. I think they'd be fun to watch too. But I think right now, what are we complaining about? We're in the middle of a pretty great season. Okay, last week wasn't super fantastic, but I got a kick out of that Georgia-Florida game. I thought that was cool. I thought it was fun. A lot of storylines. If you're down on the officiating this year, well, you had a lot more to complain about after that game too. So you had everything you wanted. You had drama, you had rivalry, you had bad officiating, you had teams that didn't like each other. And then I thought the Memphis and SMU game was pretty entertaining too. I would rather that not be the ABC game at 6:30. We got to go to another break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider, Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan-Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan-Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
Growing your business isn't just one thing. It's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
Expect it or not, the loss of a loved one is difficult. Put your family first by planning ahead. This is Joseph Dean, new owner of Alabama Funeral Homes and Cremation Centers. We are a full-service funeral home with an on-site crematory and cemetery. Whether your need is immediate or you would like to plan in advance, our experienced, compassionate staff can assist you in designing an enduring memorial experience, burial, or cremation. Alabama Funeral Homes and Cremation Centers on Highway 280 in Camp Hill or online, alabamafuneralhomes.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn on South College. New Kias at 0% APR financing and no payments for 90 days.
Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn. Kia of Auburn.com.
This is Coach Pat Dye. At Kia of Auburn, you are always number one.
I'm Jimmy Goree with Goree's Furniture. We would like to invite you to come shop our huge selection of furniture. But if you don't have time, we have over 2,000 items you can have shipped directly to your home. Go to GoreesFurniture.com, look for 48-hour quick ship. Shop, click, ship, it's just that easy. You can shop us here or you can shop us online, only at Goree's Furniture.
Your express way to saving.
Welcome back into Sports Bliss Live. Alabama and Penn tied at halftime. Auburn and Georgia Southern will be tipping off here in just a couple of minutes there in Auburn. So welcome in another Bruce Pearl era. And so that'll be a lot of fun for the Tigers. Meanwhile, I want to go back to this Alabama-LSU game just for another moment. If you're LSU, Caleb, what would you do to scheme against this Alabama team?
I mean, honestly, make them run the football. You know, I think Alabama – now, I will tell you this. I feel a whole lot better about Alabama running the football against LSU than I do LSU being able to run. I don't think LSU's really shown that they're a great running team.
God, I want to go the other way. I think Edwards-Helaire is really, really good. And I think
he's averaging 6.5 yards a carry.
He's got – I know, but he's got that 22 for LSU, he's got some wiggle.
But he's it, though.
True.
He's it.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Now, having said that, I'm maybe I'm being the pessimistic Alabama fan here. Najee Harris has had a pretty good year. He's had over 100 yards in 2 of the last 3 games, I think. He would have had 100 yards against Arkansas if he had played long enough.
And he's contributing through the passing game.
He is. He did miss, I guess it was against Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a touchdown.
Oh, it was a touchdown, and it was a play where the Tennessee player ended up getting the flag for pushing Mac Jones down. It should have been a touchdown, and Najee needs to catch that. But he had a nice screen catch. I think it was against Arkansas. And look, he's playing better. But are you really confident in Brian Robinson right now?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I think he's ran the ball pretty well so far this year.
I think he's been okay. I don't think he's been up to
But they've done
standard.
but we're not a running team, though. I mean, we're a throwing team, and I just think that both of them have done what we've asked them to do in the running game, and we hadn't really asked them to do too much. It's not like we've had I mean, I guess the one game where Najee had 22 carries, which was against Tennessee, you can say we leaned on him, and he produced that night. But other than that, we hadn't really tried to lean on either one of them. I mean, they had Najee had 9 carries against South Carolina, and that was the most on the team that day.
Right, and his best play that day obviously was on a reception.
And I think Najee's one that gets better as the game goes on. I thought against Tennessee he kind of showed that. He got better and better and better as the game went on, the more he touched the ball. So I just don't think we've really given them the chance. You know, we're comparing them to Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson, but we're not the same offense we were with those guys, and we gave those guys opportunities that these aren't really getting, in my opinion.
So, all right, that's what you would try and make Alabama do. If you're on defense, what would you do on offense?
You talking about for LSU?
For LSU. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that when you look at it, Alabama's secondary, I mean, obviously Alabama's given up some run plays, but I actually think they've gotten better. I thought that they got better in the 3 weeks between the bye week and the bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the bye week. There's been a lot of pass interferences by Alabama, and I think you just attack them, and I would especially attack number 2.
Sertan has had his moments
Yeah,
here
he's
of
had a
late.
sophomore slump.
And I'll tell you the other thing I would do is these short crossing patterns, and I think LSU does a great job with them.
No, they do, and that's what worries you with our linebackers is confusing them and confusing our, our dime and our nickel backs and those guys that are going to play in the slot. Those crossing patterns are going to be probably what LSU tries to, use to beat Alabama, and that's what they did against Florida. They just dinked and dunked. They did it against Auburn, and that's what they've done a good job of. And I think you got to give Burrow credit for he hasn't really just tried to go deep all the time. He's taken what the defense has given him. He's just dinked and dunked his way down the field and has produced a lot of points for LSU.
Yeah, and Shane Lee as a thumper, really strong, had a great play against Tennessee at the goal line to help knock the ball loose. But he's not the best in pass coverage, and I think that's something LSU is going to isolate him as best they can.
But see, Christian Harris isn't bad in pass coverage because he's a former safety.
But he is he's true, but he's also a true freshman. And
But I think that's why you've seen Markel Benton coming in the dime package a lot more here recently. Was they just feel they can count on him to know who to cover and know where to be a lot more than those two.
Markel Benton a little hobbled at practice. He's actually a little bit more hobbled than Tua Tagovailoa is. So I think all the wide receivers will be fine. It appears Najee Harris, who I think went in the medical tent against Arkansas, he's going to be fine.
Said he could have came back.
Yeah, Evan Neal appears to be fine. Landon Dickerson appears to be fine. So relatively speaking, I think Alabama's about as healthy as you could hope for given the devastating injuries from Dylan Moses, LeBron Ray, Josh McMillan.
Here's who I think is going to make or break Alabama's defense on how they play on Saturday night. I think number 99 is going to be who makes or breaks it, because if you look back at last year, Burrow does a good job of stepping up in the pocket, and he's gotten sacked. They've given up 15 sacks at this point in the year, and I think that Terrell Lewis and Anthony Jennings are going to have some chances to make sacks, and I think they're going to cause some havoc. If 99 can get that push in the middle to keep Burrow right there and not let him step up and make some of those runs, then I think that's where you're going to see Alabama be able to really stop the LSU offense, is getting sacks and keeping him right there and not letting him step up and throw on the run.
Look, everybody is waiting on 99 Raekwon Davis to break out.
Yeah,
everybody is, and I think there's been no secret. He certainly has big dreams when it comes to the NFL. There's never going to be a time when you can show out more than this game here. Every eye in the country is going to be on you. There'll be scouts galore there. Everybody is going to be watching. So if you are ever going to make a move where somebody can say at the combine, if you don't run the best or if you don't lift the most or if your shuttle time's a little slow, they can go, yeah, but did you see that LSU game?
Yeah.
This is where you make your hay if you're Raekwon Davis, if you ask me. And we always do the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. I'm not sure if you were at that game with me when he was in it, but I stood behind him, and I'm right at 6'5", 240, and you couldn't see me. And that was when he was a senior in high school. And he is a monstrous human being. He's a prototypical NFL D lineman.
Does his height hurt him?
I don't think so. It didn't hurt Calais Campbell. I think the height can be.
So has he just not figured out
how
to use it?
The height only hurts you if it hurts you. That sounds so obvious, but I think it only hurts you if you allow it to hurt you. People are going to say that's what's hurting you, when really I don't think it's the height that's hurting him. I think it's the meanness. Now, look, he's tough. There's a difference between being tough and mean. This guy got shot about 2 days before playing in a game a couple of years ago. So, yeah, he's definitely tough. It's the want to get after there. And, I really thought he was going to be a dominant defensive lineman this year. And he's good. He's very good. He hadn't been what I thought he'd be. And this is the game, I think, that Raekwon Davis, I think you make a great point about him. I think this is the game he can really step it up.
Outside of DJ Dale, who's the freshman defensive lineman that you've been impressed with that you think can have an impact also?
All right. I still don't know if we say a Yagbe or a Bojabe, because my podcast partner, Jimmy Stein, got it from somebody pretty close to the program before the season that it was a Bojabe. But I hear a Yagbe. I hear everything. So, but whatever it is, I want to go with him. All right. He has impressed me a lot. Obviously, DJ Dale has. But again, they're freshmen. They are not phenoms, but they're very solid. And I think that they'll be really good by the time they're juniors. I think Alabama is definitely missing LeBron Ray more than people
What is that bet on
acknowledge.
him?
I think most people hope that he's back for the playoffs if it comes to that. So,
Isn't it the same foot injury?
Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hard-working brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neuson. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our 5 strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For combined 50 years, Sign Source has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. Sign Source.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan-Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan-Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
J.A. Smith Construction, with 19 years experience, is your trusted choice for construction. Site clearing and grading for new home construction, basement excavation, concrete paving, storm drain installation, fish ponds, and slough dredging. No job is too big or too small. Call Alexander at J.A. Smith Construction at 334-531-0199 or email asmith@jasmithconstruct.com. J.A. Smith Construction, your trusted choice for construction.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Well, we're waiting on the college football playoff seedings, but Duke and Kansas have about 4 minutes left in their basketball game, and I don't think it's going to come on until after that. So we've got a while, and it's a tight ball game, so it could even be going into overtime. We may not get a top 4 tonight. Who knows?
You know, I don't really care. I mean, I told you before the show, like it's going to change after this week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to so. It
But
doesn't
there
really
is
matter.
something-
I guess it tells you what they're initially thinking and how they view certain teams. Would you be shocked for Clemson to be number 1 tonight?
Yeah, I would, because I think the committee has done a good job of they don't play the game where, okay, they're the defending champ, so we're automatically going to roll them in there. I would normally be okay with that if Clemson had been playing even 80% of what I thought Clemson can be, but they haven't been doing that. And the game against North Carolina just sticks out like a sore thumb. That is the game people remember about Clemson right now. None of these other games.
North Carolina didn't run a terrible 2-point play.
Yeah, that was a bad 2-point play. My goodness. So yes, I think that I would be quite shocked if Clemson. I'm going to be kind of shocked if Clemson's in the top 4.
Would you be shocked if Ohio State's number 1?
No, I think that's who should be number 1.
I think so too.
I think they've looked the part. And this is where there are a faction of folks who don't like the quote-unquote eye test. I'm pro eye test. I think eye test is part of it. I mean, you can't just go based on stats and based on numbers. If you did that, then, a lot of years where you see these Michigan State scores of 12 to 11 every single week because they have no offense, you'd say, well, they got to be a good team. Watch the games and they don't look good. Yeah. They have a way of lulling people to sleep, and eventually that catches up to them, and it seems to just about every year. But yeah, I think the ranking should, if I were ranking them, I would rank it Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, and then probably Penn State, and then Clemson. That's what I would do. And probably Georgia after that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
You have to penalize Georgia for a loss. I think you got to penalize
especially to South Carolina.
Especially to South Carolina.
Home.
Now, since Georgia has beaten Notre Dame, but the luster is off of that a little bit after
beating Notre Dame's about as equal as LSU beating Texas. Right
and
now.
Notre Dame could have very easily lost to Virginia Tech this past week at home.
Yeah. Probably should have.
But in the moment, here's the thing, if LSU is going to get credit for winning at Texas, I think Georgia should still get credit for winning against Notre Dame.
No, for sure.
Because Texas is not a good football team either.
48 to Kansas.
And
Kansas State just held to 14.
Texas is missing a lot of players right there. They're not a good team. You're right. They're not a good team. So I feel like that's the way I would do it. And if you had Oregon in that top 6 over Georgia, I could buy that. I think Oregon now having gone to USC.
Yeah, because their loss is Auburn and Georgia's is South Carolina.
Correct. But I think if Georgia were to play Oregon neutral field tomorrow, I would pick Georgia to win. And that's, I think, the tiebreaker to me. Maybe it's my Southern bias. What do you think?
It'd be an interesting game, I think, for sure, just because we still don't really know how much Georgia can score on people. So
yeah.
But I think it's going to go – I think LSU's going to be number 1 because they're going to want to hype up this weekend. And then I think Ohio State's going to be number 2. It won't shock me to see them put Penn State at number 3.
And yeah, I could put Penn State at, you mean number 4 maybe?
No, it won't shock me to see them put them at number 3.
And so Alabama at 4?
Mm-hmm.
I see, but that goes against your.
I think they're gonna punish Alabama and Clemson for.
But that goes against, that flies in the face of your. They're gonna hype up this weekend thing.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't think they put Alabama lower than 3, but because the human nature side of it. And like you said, in the end, it doesn't really matter because Alabama and LSU play. So if you have Alabama at 8,
if Alabama wins, are they number 1 next week?
I think if Alabama wins, yes, the winner of this game is at number 1 next week. I think regardless. If it's a 9-6 game, I think it's the winner goes to number 1 regardless. Because it will clearly be the best win anybody has in the country.
Yeah.
Either way. And if LSU wins it, Katie bar the door. They are a virtual lock to get in this thing, barring a catastrophic upset along the way.
Probably, really 2 upsets.
Well, I don't know. Like, for instance, you may be right. You may be if Georgia were to win out and LSU's only lost in the SEC championship game, it'd be interesting if LSU had won all of them until then. Because what if Clemson's undefeated still, like we predict? What if Ohio State or Penn State's undefeated? One of them's getting in, and then you got Oregon sitting there, and it'd be Oregon against LSU. Either again, you have a 2 SEC team college football playoff, or you put in somebody like an Oregon who's won their conference. LSU wouldn't have under our scenario. But to me, that's what makes this fun. You talk about a 16-team playoff, you're like, oh, well, can Temple sneak in? I don't want Temple to sneak in. I want to talk about the best 4 teams in there. So that's the difference to me.
How much will you give Penn State credit for beating Minnesota if they win this week?
I'll give them plenty of credit. I think Minnesota's
pretty good.
I think they are pretty good. I don't.
So if Minnesota wins this weekend, where are they ranked next week?
To me, this is, Minnesota is maybe a notch or 2 below when Mississippi State was number 1 in the country. Now they had Dak Prescott; he was pretty good. They had a good running back that year. They had a pretty good team, but I think we all knew Mississippi State's not. That while they were ranked number 1, they weren't the best team in the country. But they had the resume made them be number 1.
Yeah.
But I kind of dig where Minnesota's ranked right now. I kind of understand why they don't have them that highly thought of. It's not because of some bias. It's because they haven't played anybody either. This is going to be Minnesota's first test. And they haven't earned the right to get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, history tells you that they're going to slip up.
Yeah, and I feel like Penn State's going to win that game.
Penn State's pretty good on defense.
I like this Penn State team.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good on defense. And
Yep.
I think them and Ohio State's going to be pretty interesting.
That's going to be another good game. I mean, there are a lot of
And
games.
then you got Michigan getting better.
You got a lot of games that are going to shake up everything, and Ohio State does have to play they have to play Penn State at home, at Michigan, then Big Ten championship game back to back to back.
Which could be a rematch with Minnesota, right?
Could be. Well, they don't play Minnesota.
Or would it be Wisconsin?
It would. They don't play Minnesota this year, so in the regular season.
I'm thinking of Penn State.
Yeah, so it'd probably be.
So it could be either
It could be
Minnesota. Or
well, Wisconsin now has the losses to Illinois and to Ohio State. So I mean, if you're Minnesota,
you're kind of sitting pretty.
You're sitting
if you beat Wisconsin.
But now here's the thing: if you lose to Penn State,
and
then you lose to Wisconsin, then you lose the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
See, this is why 4 teams is great, because you have so many scenarios and they mean so much.
If we were going to expand it, would you ever be against 10 teams? And
yes.
Listen to this. Now listen to this though. 10 teams, and you take number 7 and make them play number 10, and number 8 and play number 9, and then after that you have your 18 playoff.
No, I don't want that at all. I don't want anything to do with that. I mean, I don't want anything that cheapens.
But we're going to go to 8 anyways. So why not just reward people? Just say, look, if you're in the top 10 in the country, you get a chance to play for a championship.
But that's the thing to me is I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be, see, if you're in the top 4, chances are you're really, really good. I mean, you're really good.
No, yeah,
if you're in the top 10, you can backdoor your way into the top 10. I mean, let's put it this way.
You can, but I mean, we just talked about how conferences aren't equal and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So why not have people play it out?
But again, that's also unfair in a sense. While the conferences are unequal, and I think that's why the committee got it right when they let Alabama and Georgia in at the same time. They were clearly 2 of the best teams. They ended up playing for it. And I think that was the committee saying, we know this is the best conference, okay? And so they are going to get the benefit of the doubt. So if you're in the Pac-12, win them all. Or lose a close one to Auburn at the last second and then win them all. And win them all from that point forward pretty impressively. They went and whooped Washington on the road. They went on the road and bludgeoned USC. Oregon is making up for that mistake at the beginning of the year.
And if Oregon doesn't mess up in that game, they should have been up 24-0 on Auburn if they just don't ever make any mistakes. I mean, they had the ball on the Auburn 5 and fumbled and let Auburn return it. They missed a field goal down there. So, I mean, they had opportunities to be up even more at the beginning of that game and mess it up for themselves. So
we need to go to a break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Hey, slow down, buddy. This ain't Talladega, and that race car driver's number on your back window, you ain't him. Truth is, just 10 miles over the speed limit, and your chances of killing someone are 4 times higher. So forget the number on your window and memorize the one on that orange prison jumpsuit. Stop speeding before speeding stops you.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
You already know the power and reliability of a Mahindra tractor. Get ready to meet their ATV and UTV lines. Haul more and tow more. Do more. Reaching speeds up to 60 miles an hour. Models have a 12-inch ground clearance and the ability to haul up to 1,200 pounds. There's a Mahindra utility vehicle and a model specifically to get the job done. Test drive today at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor. Serving Tallapoosa, Coosa, Clay, and Talladega counties. 256-392-3613.
Alex City Marines located on Cherokee Road in Alexander City, and the Yerkes invite you by to see what they have available today. The 2020 Manitous and Landaus are in, and boy are they gorgeous. Also some great deals on demos. Take advantage of that while they last. Alex City Marine also is doing shrink wrapping, storage. Get in line now. fact, call this number, 256-215-FISH. Alex City Marine, Alex City.
Hi, I'm Kurt Bowman, General Manager of Vaden Toyota. We'd like to announce our new lifetime warranty on any new Toyota.
Hashtag lifetime warranty.
Hashtag we love our customers.
It can be used nationwide at no additional cost.
Hashtag customer service.
So come on by and let us show you
the Vaden way.
Hashtag maintenance matters.
Hashtag totally awesome.
Vaden Toyota of Sylacauga, just a short drive from home or online.
Hashtag your neighborhood dealership.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Luke Robinson, along with Caleb Brooks, as the Duke and Kansas game is finishing up. It's Duke's going to win it.
Duke won it, yeah.
Duke won the game. So hopefully we'll have the college football playoff rankings in a second. Alabama down by 5 right now to a scrappy Penn team. This Penn team's pretty good. I knew it would be coming in. And
well, I mean, they won the Big 5 a year ago, and like I said earlier, I mean, returned their top 2 scorers and another player that had to sit last year because of an injury. So. A lot of people said that they were going to be pretty good coming in. They've lived up to it.
And, you know, they're coached by a guy who last time he came in Tuscaloosa, he was coaching the 2009 Cornell team. They also beat Alabama in Anthony Grant's debut. You know, I don't want to get too far off tangent because, you know, Alabama-LSU is kind of the thing. But the HSA playoffs are this Friday, start this Friday. And were there any games that just jumped off the page at you or anything you want to say leading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a couple good matchups in some of the lower classifications. You know, the only 2 road teams I really looked at in 6A that had a chance at winning was probably Wetumpka going on the road. They got a shot. And then I think that, you know, you can give Spanish Fort a shot, you know, going to Dothan at winning. Other than that, I saw a lot of the higher seeds are probably going to win, in my opinion. Now, we always get, you know, 4s upsetting 1s, and that seems to always be a thing. In 7A, I think you're going to see your normal teams win. You know, I think you're going to see Robert E. Lee, Auburn, and Phoenix City come out, you know, and then I think McGill will probably win. And, you know, I'm just, with 7A and 6A, nothing, my thing with 7A is I'm tired of seeing the same matchups in 7A. Are you not kind of tired of seeing the same teams play in the first round every year?
No, I'm not.
Why?
Because I think they're the best teams. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, my thing is, so 7A has money where they can afford to travel. So if one year Baker has to travel up to Sparkman for a game, or let's say Huntsville High has to travel down to McGill for a game, and that's the first round matchup, who cares?
Well, but if you were to do
it's
that,
not really
I mean,
fair
it's north and
fair
south.
To Bob I understand that, but for 7A, there's only 32 teams, so forget about north and south.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
Bob Jones has to play Hoover every year, or Thompson, or, you know, I mean,
but
that's not fair to those teams up there, in my opinion.
Well,
you can say we'll just beat them, but it's not. It's not the same. They're not the same area. It's not the same.
Well, I mean, I think you could make the same, if you want to go that route, you could make the same argument about the college football playoffs if you want to go. I mean, Clemson and Alabama seem to be in it every year.
But that's different. You can go recruit those players. With high school, you're taking what you give.
But again, this is not, to me, that's the thing. This isn't a charity event.
I understand that, but I'm just saying in general, I mean, there's 32 teams and only 16 make the playoffs compared to all the other 1 through 6A that has 32 that make the playoffs out of 64. So they're already smaller.
What would change? What would change to you if?
Well, look, Phoenix City and Hoover may have to play in the first round one year if Hoover were to go.
But see, to me, that's not. That's a problem. That's sort of like saying I want Duke and Kansas to play in the NCAA tournament in the second round. I don't.
It happens in the Sweet 16, Elite 8 sometimes.
Occasionally. But I don't want the 2 best teams. I mean, clearly.
But that would be an occasional occurrence anyways. You're not. I mean, most of the time they're going to be 1-1.
Hey, here's the thing. Phoenix City hadn't been this Phoenix City for very long. I mean, they won it last year, obviously, and they're they've been good a couple years before that. But, you know, they hadn't always been this good. And these things are relatively cyclical. But I'm not going to punish Central Phoenix City and Hoover and Thompson. You know, where's Thompson been all this time? Only the last few years have they been good. I mean, last 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Yeah, but that's because the change to 7A. But before that, it was 64 teams in 6A.
But everybody had a shot to do that same thing. Let me tell you something. I've called games at Thompson. I called 3 games there last year. They have committed to being
yeah.
good.
I mean, they got the
and
best
they should be
football
rewarded for
facility
that
in the whole state.
But and see, people say that like that's their fault. No, they did it because they got committed.
Yeah.
If you want to be good, start right here at Benjamin Russell. I mean, there are probably some things that Benjamin Russell should do to be up to speed instead of worrying about, well, we don't have enough players, we can't do this in 6A. We need to be creative. We need to find another way to be competitive because you can't whine your way to the top. And I'm not saying BRHS is doing that. I'm just saying that, or any team is doing that. But what I'm hearing from you is, well, let's punish Thompson and Hoover because they care more. This, to me, it's like saying, I don't like saying, for instance, I know Alabama cares more about football than Kentucky does. But Kentucky cares a lot more about basketball. It's all about where you allocate your resources and where you want to be good. For instance, the new high school debate that's been up there about here in LX City, I'm trying to keep it local for a lot of folks. I think that's a great idea. I think it's good for our community to be doing stuff like that. Yep, you got to spend a little money. I understand, and it's taxpayer dollars, and there is a chance. There is certainly a chance things may not go exactly the way we want them to go. There is a chance that building this new building may not improve everything the way we want it to improve. But you know, I'm all for taking that chance. I'm all for paying a little bit more in taxes if it helps lift up our community a little bit more, rather than just putting a coat of paint on an old school building. I agree. I'm for rewarding folks that take the chances. And Hoover, say what you want to, man, they created a culture over there. And people want to blame them and say, well, they're from Hoover and they get all the advantages. No, they created their advantages. Nick Saban created his advantages. There's nothing worse to me than to hear a guy say, well, he just recruits well, he's not a good coach. You know how hard it is to manage all those egos over there? And including his and the coaches?
I agree with you on the Hoover thing, but also Hoover benefits from having the Galleria there and having the tax money to build a school and to put all that. Not everybody does. I've gone down to Daleville. I've gone down to Dale County and seen that. They don't have that. They don't even have the opportunity to even be able to do that kind of stuff.
Well, my question is, so that's Hoover's fault?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like.
But first of all, Daleville is in a completely different classification.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general though, I mean, like you can say all that, but not everybody has the opportunity to do that and has the resources the way like a Hoover did, or even now, the reason Thompson's the way it is because Alabaster's booming. Because everybody's moving out that way from Birmingham.
You know why? Because Thompson decided we're going to make a commitment to school.
And because Birmingham's just exploding too.
True, but here, my point is that you can, now if I'm Daleville, I'm picking Daleville because you said it. Then you know what you need to do? Find a way to market, hey, we're more of a family feel. You got to do something different. You got to say we're a little more tight-knit than Hoover is. Hoover's got all the bright lights and shiny things, and they got a lot of stuff, but if you want to be part of a family, you come here. I'm taking this as a for instance. I don't know if that's actually what happens. I'm just saying you've got to get creative when you market. Just like when people say that, I want equality across the board. You can't ever have equality across the board in college football. Because you know what? If you're recruiting in Gainesville, Florida, it's a lot easier than recruiting in Provo, Utah. Or Boise, Idaho. It'll never be equal because Gainesville's in Florida. It's there. It's got the pretty women and the sunshine and the orange juice and the beer. Boise's got snow skiing. That's it. And also the talent base is there. There are a gazillion prospects. Yeah. You could get nothing but 3 stars out of Florida and you'd feel pretty strong. You get 2 3 stars out of Boise and it's a banner year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's inequalities all throughout it, and it's for instance, Boise they've done a masterful job of marketing what they can do. Hey, we're going to put a blue turf out there, and we're going to go anywhere and play anybody and do the best we can do. And they've done an incredible job with it.
But I mean, the difference is they can go and get the players they want to get to go and do that, whereas the other schools in Alabama just have to deal with.
But that's how high schools have been forever.
I understand, but it's like you go up there to Bob Jones, okay? Bob Jones and James Clemens split. If they never split, there's no telling what Bob Jones would have done.
But they had to split because they had too many players that were bursting at the seams. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about this some more. I didn't know this was going to go this way. We'll be back in just a minute.
Scotty Fortenberry is Dadeville and the Lake Martin area's full-service Alpha agent. His office on Broadneck Street offers comprehensive life, home, auto, and boat insurance at Alpha's competitive rates. Scotty and Alpha Insurance are Alabama's #1 life insurance company for a reason. You'll always get the personal attention you and your family need. Scotty also has your commercial needs covered, so whether it's just a quote or full insurance evaluation, call Alpha agent Scotty Fortenberry at 256-825-9211.
Become a member of the Superior family. Superior GMC Cadillac, Superior Hyundai, or Superior Automotive Pre-Owned. Between our 3 dealers in East Central Alabama, we offer the superior selection and service for any buyer's needs. All with the personal touch of being locally family-owned and operated. Check out any of our dealers online, or our 3 great lots in Anniston on Quintard, or our pre-owned superstore in Pell City, and join the Superior family of value. Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan-Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan-Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
Did your team just win the big game? Are you looking for a unique way to honor a valuable employee? Lila's Engraving has you covered, offering a large selection of custom trophies and plaques. Lila's also offers cast aluminum car tags, custom engraved wine glasses, clocks, and wood cutting boards. They even offer custom framing for any art or picture as well. Lila's combines the best quality items with the fastest service around. With over 27 years of experience in the Alexander City and Lake Martin areas, Lila's Engraving is your only choice for custom awards and engraved gifts. Always remember, winners choose Lila's.
Guys, it's back! Inline skating.
Rock and roll hair?
Calling this thing a pound sign instead of a hashtag? No, the Zensation is back at Zaxby's.
The Zensation Salad is back, and introducing the new Zensation Filet Sandwich Meal with hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, both served with an egg roll. The Zensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal, only at Zaxby's.
The door is open, the beer's cold, and the biscuits are hot at Foshee Watts on Dadeville Road in Alexander City. Fishing season is in year-round and live bait is available. Non-ethanol gas is available along with propane and pellet ice. So come on by and see what we're all about, where the kitchen is open Monday through Friday early at Foshee Watts on Dadeville Road in Alexander City. And tell them old Katie sent you right here from the front porch, WAXC TV.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. We were just talking a little bit about some AHSA playoffs, and it really kind of veered off the rails there. But I still dig the talk, and I think that I obviously understand where you're going with this. But you know, that's what I was going to say. The bracket that I look forward to every year. I mean, we can talk about 6A, and I think Saraland being undefeated, that's an interesting story. Obviously, Muscle Shoals is.
Are they the favorite in the North?
Oh God, they're so good. I mean, I just think.
Do you think it's them and Saraland would have to be the matchup?
I don't know. I feel very good about this Muscle Shoals team. Saraland's had to survive sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But they've done that in the toughest region in 6A.
But
also.
I am so looking forward to this 7A. Oh, as my mic goes off, sorry about that. But I'm really looking forward to this 7A match. 7A bracket where you have
turn it back on.
Well, of course it dies on me too. I'm really looking forward to the 7A bracket because it's going to have, I think it'll be Thompson, and I think it'll be Hoover playing one another, and then you'll have McGill-Tulane facing off against Central Phoenix City, and just sign me up for that.
I'll tell you who could be a sleeper though is Mountain Brook. I know that they played Thompson really close and had to follow that up with Hoover the next week, which isn't easy. I just think Mountain Brook's not bad.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad either, and I think that they're very fundamentally sound.
I'm not saying they're going to win. I mean, I'd be shocked to see. It'd be like when Spain Park made it a couple years ago and ended up winning it, but it'd be kind of like that where you're surprised to see them there. But I think that they have a shot at getting hot and winning some games. You know, all you got to do is win 3.
That's right. But I really do like the Mountain Brook versus Thompson potential, and then McGill-Tulane against Central Phoenix City. I think that'll be a lot of fun because, I mean, each one, I think Central Phoenix City is probably the best all-around team. Hoover's the traditional power. Thompson's the proverbial up-and-comer, and then McGill might be the most athletic. I mean, I think all of them bring something.
Well, then you got Auburn sitting there who, if they could just score a little bit, you know, could beat some of these teams. They just don't score much.
Let me tell you about this one tweet that was put out there by Brody Miller. It said, Matt Porter, the LSU fan who plays $50 to win $10,000 on Joe Burrow winning the Heisman, he's already turned down $3,800 as a buyout to stick with the bet at least until he said after Auburn that he turned that down. So not getting any buyout offers this week, it looks like he's going to ride it out. So 50 to win 10 grand.
Who was it that somebody had the St. Louis Blues last year in a ticket, and they wrote it out and ended up working out for them.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we're still waiting on the college football playoff selection to be put out there. Meanwhile, I think we can talk a little bit about some of the recruits coming into this game because I think in a while the talk centers around President Trump's presence. That is certainly going to be big, but it's not going to be any bigger than Bryce Young being in town. And if you've been able to watch Bryce Young, the quarterback out of California, play.
How shocked would you be if he's the starter next year?
I think he will be the starter.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think he's –
To me, he looks like a combination of Tua and Jalen.
He is.
He can throw it like Tua and he runs it like Jalen.
Now he's short and he's slight. But you don't get a good shot on him, and he's fast.
And he also looks like a guy that's going to kind of fill in, especially in the leg area as he gets to Alabama.
And he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
And
throw on the run.
He's got a lot of Kyler Murray type feel to him.
Yeah.
I hate comparing guys like that because, I mean, man, he's got a long way to go to be Kyler Murray. But, you know, he is very dynamic. I think he ends up being the best player the best quarterback in this class. Jordan Birch, who's also another great player, 5-star out of South Carolina, defensive end, he'll be in town. Darnell Washington, a 5-star tight end out of Las Vegas. He would be a great, not even runner-up prize, just a first prize, considering Alabama lost on Eric Gilbert, the fabulous tight end out of Marietta. Phillip Webb, who is a linebacker that Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, LSU, they are all after. He's really good. Jace McClellan, who's a 4 or 5-star running back committed to Oklahoma. He'd be somebody good that I think Alabama would love to take. Or Zach Evans, who is a maybe in terms of visiting this weekend, the running back out of Texas.
Has our chances on Zach Evans gone down?
I think they've been fluctuating. You know, Zach Evans, rumored to have had some issues there on his team, but I think everything got squared away. But who knows? Nobody's got no straight answer about that. It doesn't seem like Reggie Grimes will be in town, defensive lineman out of the Nashville area whose father played for Alabama. Javion Cohen from Central Phoenix City, the offensive lineman, he'll be in town. I think his stock is going up somewhat, so it'll be interesting to see if Alabama ends up offering him because right now he is certainly one of the jewels of Auburn's class. And if Alabama were to poach him, I think a lot of fans would love it. But, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily a position of need right now for Alabama.
Yeah, you know, how many of those guys do you think are just wanting a free ticket to the game?
You know, I would suspect a lot of them, but I understand where they're coming from.
Oh, yeah.
I want one, too.
Look, when you're going through the recruiting process, to me, you just take advantage of all the perks of it.
That's right.
You only get to do this once, and so I'd take all 5 of my visits, all 5 of the paid visits that they give me, and
one would be
go
no
see.
why.
Yeah, I mean, but you get to go see all the that's true. But you get to see all the different campuses and see, I mean, stuff that a lot of normal people don't get to do.
Heard this on another show today. Speaking of just going to see campuses, Oxford and Mississippi. Do you know why it's named Oxford?
Mm-mm.
For Oxford, England, and when they named the town, they thought naming it Oxford would remind people of the university in England and therefore give them a better shot to get the state university, which it did.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That is kind of cool.
Again, you got to be unique when you're marketing these things.
Yeah, I never knew about that.
So Chris Braswell, who's a 5-star defensive lineman, already committed to Alabama out of the Baltimore area. He'll be in town.
I see a lot.
Yeah, I feel like he's pretty locked in. I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes set on some of the wide receivers. Rakeem Jarrett obviously is a name still on Alabama's list. There's a few others, though. Arian Smith from down in Florida, maybe the fastest player in the country this year. He's going to be on a visit. He and Bryce Young have been making a lot of connections on Twitter lately. A lot of people have tried to read into that. I don't, because these kids do everything they can to screw the minds of guys like me who just sit around and follow recruiting. So I've learned, until they sign, try not to worry about it too terribly much. Roydale Williams, the running back out of Hueytown, that's another team that I think in the playoffs, they might be able to do some damage because they've got a good quarterback too. They've got athletes galore. And if you focus on Roydale Williams, Hueytown will beat you passing the football. There's no doubt in my mind. Will Anderson, who's also committed already, and DeMoy Kennedy, and then Drake May, who's the quarterback out of North Carolina for the 2021 class. Alabama now down 9 to Penn, and there's going to be a charge, I'm afraid. Nope, they didn't call it. So it's Alabama down 7 right now with 7:24 left in the game, and I think Auburn's down about 4 right now to Georgia Southern. So state team's not looking as good. They're going to put a little wet blanket on all this enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's early, though.
These things don't turn around. So we're going to go ahead and take another break. We'll be back in just a minute. More Sports Blitz Live.
We're ready for back to school, even if you aren't ready. Purchase any Napa Automotive battery and receive $25 back by mail at Napa Auto Parts.
Your comfort is our number one concern. Advanced heat and air.
With the hot summer season just around the corner, it's time to decide if your current air conditioning system will keep you cool this year. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate on a brand new energy-efficient Trane heat pump system for your home or business. Your comfort is our number one concern. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 256-234-5052.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. The road to Jordan-Hare starts this Friday on WOTM with live first-round AHSAA playoff coverage featuring the Sylacauga Aggies visiting Death Valley to take on the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Stay with WOTM each Friday for live games every round of the playoffs and on to Jordan-Hare for exclusive TV coverage of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Super 7 only on WOTM.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
The Prestige Selection at Gill's Auto Sales in Opelika has the largest selection of prestige cars, trucks, and SUVs in Central and East Alabama, all with financing available, little to no money down, and extended warranties. Get pre-qualified in under 2 minutes, online or from your mobile device at GillsPrestigeOnline.com. It's the Prestige Selection at Gill's Auto Sales, 1430 Gateway Drive in Opelika.
Grab a 5-quart jug of Napa conventional motor oil for only $12.99 for a limited time at Napa Auto Parts.
Welcome back into Sports Plus Live. Well, the top 6 actually have been released, and it is Ohio State 1, it is LSU 2, Alabama 3, Penn State 4, Clemson 5, and Georgia 6. That's what I thought it would be. That's what I thought it should be. If you want to split hairs with Georgia and Oregon, I understood, but I think I would give Georgia the benefit of the doubt here. And I think that you have to, if you're going to flip a coin, you're going to weigh it a little bit on the side of the Bulldogs, considering they've been in the playoffs before. They certainly have the pedigree for it, and they probably have more talent than Oregon. So I think, their loss is worse, but their conference is also worse.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 conference is also worse, I should say. So what do you think about it, though? Because, I mean, it's pretty cool that the number 1 is Big Ten, number 4 is Big Ten, number 2 is SEC, and number 3 is SEC. I like it.
Oh, that's what we talked about, though.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 best conferences, and really the SEC has 3 of the top 6. So, it doesn't really shock me. I think that, like we've said, those are the 2 best, and the both of them proven. I think I've said it since early in the year. I think Ohio State's the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Right now, when I watch them play, and they would be a team that if Alabama matched up with them, that would really, really worry me playing against them.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of talent. They've got really good ball-catching receivers. They've got the running backs pretty strong. Justin Fields is playing well. I'd like to see how well he does against pressure, but they spread the ball out, which I think would affect us a lot. And they're defensively, they would be right up there on par with some of the better SEC defenses. So, yeah, I think Ohio State probably is the best team in the country. I understand I would put them there myself. Is there any other spot that shocked you?
No. I mean, I guess Clemson not being in the top 4 and Penn State being over them, I guess, can be a little shocking, but they look better. So, I mean, and their conference is better.
And I'm not
terrible.
I'm not so sure that, I guess I'm not so sure Pitt isn't better than Texas A&M. I'd say they're about equal. And that's what's Penn State's best non-conference is the win over Pitt. So, I think Penn State has looked better. I believe wholeheartedly that if they both bring their A game, Clemson wins by 2 touchdowns. But are we going to see Clemson's best game? I mean, something, one of my sayings is you play your best game a couple times a year, you play your worst game a couple times a year, and everything in between is what you really are. So is that going to come to fruition? Has Clemson just not played their best games yet? I mean, they might be saving it up for the playoffs. I mean, they're a team like Alabama that they can put it in cruise control a little bit, and especially in that conference, and just wait and bide their time. The problem is trying to turn it on when you haven't turned it on all year. And that's what I think may catch up to Clemson eventually. They're not going to have to play their heart.
Clemson reminds me a lot of the 2014 Florida State team.
True.
Who just got to cruise all year, and then all of a sudden they ran into Oregon in the first round and got just drilled.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Clemson reminds me of. Florida State escaped a couple of games that year. You kind of looked at them and said, I don't really think they're one of the best teams in the country. But they kept winning games, and then all of a sudden you get in the postseason and they got killed. And that's kind of what Clemson reminds me of.
Yeah.
And then, with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good player. I think he's a good player, but he had one good game. I mean, he played really, really well. He played the way that a quarterback has to play to beat Alabama. But if you go look at how he really played throughout the year last year and then how he's played this year, he hasn't showed me all this number 1 quarterback in the draft next year stuff that everybody wants to hype him up to be.
Yeah. I still think he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft.
He probably will, but to me, it's more off of just him being a 6'6" guy with a big arm.
Prototype.
Prototype NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and here's the thing that, and you said something, we're sort of going all over the place here, guys, but you said something earlier that every NFL home team won this past week.
Yeah.
But that can't be right because the Cowboys beat the Giants.
I said it on Sunday.
On Sunday, okay.
Yeah.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, Jacksonville was technically the home team in London, but they were in London. So.
Did you did anything about the New England loss surprise you?
No. They finally played somebody.
Well, they played somebody, and they also they
have been escaping. I mean, they beat the Bills without scoring an offensive point.
But I've loved having their defense. Until this week, I've loved having their defense.
But I mean, they could have been 3-3-1 through the first 7 games and never have played an offensive snap. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's playing against the Browns, the Jets, the Bills was the only team with the winning record, and the Bills are just cursed against the Patriots. So
yeah, they're not going to do well against them just about ever. Is there anything else in the pros? Since we're effectively doing a Bama Blitz, the Minkah Fitzpatrick 96-yard interception. He has loved being in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And
Kenyon Drake. Touchdown. Yeah.
Kenyon Drake, and also what I loved about the Kenyon Drake trade is he goes to Arizona, a place where he made maybe the most famous kickoff return in national championship history.
Yeah.
So it was good for him to get a touchdown, and his touchdown was eerily similar to that kickoff return where he had to stretch out and sort of dive for it. Then, of course, Derrick Henry had a couple of touchdowns. Mark Ingram, and I saw this stat, and I was a little too lazy to research it, but I believe it is correct. It makes sense. He's worked his way up into the top 85 or something like that running backs in terms of yardage of all time. Now, you say top 85, oh my God. There's a lot of running backs been through this league.
Yeah.
And
he didn't exactly play in a system in the Saints that handed him the ball.
But it may have helped his longevity.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
So if he keeps on this current pace, which he is and he had over 150 yards against the Patriots, which is no joke. Their defense has been the best in the league.
And then tell me, who's Toby Gerhart playing for right now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But so Ingram's going to have a shot, I think, by the time his career is all said and done, maybe to be in the top 50 all-time of yardage in the NFL.
Good.
Let me tell you something. That's just not bad.
No.
You think there's a lot of running backs. This league eats them up and chews them out. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a nice accolade for him. Amari Cooper had another touchdown against the Giants. And let's see, Julio and Calvin Ridley were off. Irv Smith had several catches.
OJ's coming back from an injury now.
He's coming back this next week. Rashaan Evans ended up leading his team in tackles, as did Dante Hightower. Both of them looked pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys that you'd suspect do well. I don't know how Ronnie Harrison did with the Jaguars because I don't really keep up with them. I know they
he didn't do anything that made. I watched the game and he didn't do anything that made me notice.
Did you see that Cam Newton's been put on the IR?
Yeah, he's out for the year. And I talked to El Toro a little bit about Cam. He talked to Cam and just said that this is one of the roughest times in his life right now that he's going through. And he said that he's trying to stay in good spirits, but that when you've been on top of the world the way he has, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. That's what the thing about this league. It was funny. Somebody posted the old commercial. Do you remember I think it was for NFL Play or NFL 60, where the little kid was telling Cam Newton, "Hey, maybe I'll come get your job one day."
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "That's Kyle Allen now."
Yeah.
It's not a bad shot, but this league has no mercy.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, I think you're seeing that. Look at Eli Manning. As great of a career as he's had, they gave him 2 games and pulled the leash on him.
Well, that's the thing, and that is, to me, that's what makes NFL the purest sport left. It feels like Adrian Peterson. All of a sudden, he's just not good anymore. Now he's not terrible as he should be because he's running for money. Yeah. He was broke, so he had to keep running. A lot of guys his age probably are like, okay, I'm going to go out here and get my yards. There are very few Frank Gores. Frank Gore just goes out there and still does his thing somehow. He's miraculous. But we need to go ahead and take one more break. We'll be back in just a minute with the final segment of the show.
Skag, the toughest name in lawnmowers. Unmatched quality and performance for over 3 decades. The clear choice, the best mower money can buy for work or at home. Top lawn care professionals and discerning homeowners know that Skag means productivity and reliability. Every Skag mower is proudly built right here in the USA. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best. Skag.
Satterfield Outdoor Living on Highway 280 in Alex City.
Hey, it's Steve from the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn, and after 10 years of serving the good people of East Alabama and West Georgia, we're still doing business the same way, offering the best products at the best prices with the area's best warranties and installing them with the area's best technicians. We Great customer service, a knowledgeable sales staff, and our commitment to customer satisfaction, along with the best selection of the latest technology in the industry, there's no reason to shop anywhere else. Shop with confidence. Shop at the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn.
Folks around these parts have known for a long time that Walls Tire, just a mile past the bridge on Highway 280, is your #1 stop for automotive service and repair. At Walls Tire, you'll always find quality service at a fair price on everything from AC, name brand tires, big or small repairs, routine maintenance, towing, and more. When your car or truck needs to run right, there's one place in the area to go, conveniently located and easy to find. Walls Tire, just a mile past the bridge on Highway 280.
At Russell Medical, our transitional care unit is a great alternative to nursing home care after a medical or surgical hospital stay. Transitional care increases strength and endurance through skilled nursing and therapy programs to promote a safe return home. Enjoy on-site therapy, private rooms, an activity center, and more. Call Russell Medical today to see if our transitional care unit is the right care for you.
Finding a job might be tough, but starting your new career has never been easier. Wellborn Cabinet in Ashland has a wide array of career opportunities with benefits. General labor production, skilled cabinet builders, product assembly line, shipping, over-the-road truck drivers, clerical, marketing, security, daycare, office clerks, and so much more. Apply in person, 38669 Highway 77 South in Ashland, or online at wellborn.com. Building cabinets, building careers, and building our community.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has needed tools. But not all tools are created equal. AGF Machine Rental Sales and Service has tools for all commercial construction or big residential projects. AGF Machinery offers the most durable and hardworking brands of ASV, Skyjack, and Wacker Neuson. Aerial lifts, scissor lifts, loaders, excavators, and forest equipment on demand for the best possible price. And backed by the Southeast's best team of professionals. Visit any of our 5 strategic locations across Alabama for all your equipment needs. Or online at agfmachinery.com.
Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Luke Robinson, Caleb Brooks winding the show up now. Alabama down 2. They had a shot at the rebound. Penn ended up knocking it out of bounds. Penn's got the ball with about 2.5 minutes left, so we'll see what happens here. I doubt the game will be over by the time the show is. So anything else quickly you want to add right here at the end of the show? Prediction for Alabama LSU?
I think Alabama wins. I mean, I told you earlier they've lost 4 home games since 2008 began. So. And it's been crazy stuff now. Are they due one? Maybe. I mean, there's been 31 games since they've lost one, but I just think Alabama is going to win the game due to the fact that Tua is playing for Alabama and Joe Burrow is playing for LSU, and that I think everybody's overhyped Joe Burrow because they haven't really played as good a defense as everybody kind of thinks they've played at this point in the year.
It is interesting, though. This game has a lot more on the line than just 2 versus 3 in playoff implications. I mean, the Heisman race is certainly up for grabs. Burrow has the lead right now. I don't think there's any doubt about it, especially with Tua's missing about a game and a half. As Alabama ties the ball game up at 75 now, or 77. And there's also the 31-game home winning streak. There is the game days there, and they're going to be at the Quad, and the SEC Nation's going to be there, and President Trump's going to be there, and a gazillion recruits. It's really so many other interesting stories, and the fact that Alabama does go and get guys from Louisiana very often. LSU has come in, and they've got a defensive lineman from Hewitt-Trussville that a lot of people like. I think his name's Eric Taylor. So they've got they've got a lot. They've come into Alabama in the past and gotten some good players too. So there's a lot on the line here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to say Alabama wins a very, very, very close game. Also, the number 1 pick in the draft may be up for grabs because a lot of people now in mock drafts I've seen have Joe Burrow going number 1 over Tua going number 2.
That's a good thing. You don't want to go to Cincinnati, and you don't want. It's really kind of lose-lose though. Do Cincinnati or Miami right now?
Yeah, and Miami has had a yard sale.
Cincinnati did this themselves though because they could have made the move over to AJ back when he almost won a playoff game, and I think he would have been better off than Andy. Andy Dalton has not been good, and they just stuck with him.
Yeah, but those days appear to be over. So That's going to do it for this episode of Sports Blitz Live. We do appreciate your sticking with us and listening to all this Bammer talk, anybody who's an Auburn fan out there. But Andy will be back next week to give you all the Aub you want. So we'll see you next week on Sports Blitz Live.